What's up, everybody? It's your boy C Sam's, and this is Well Actually.
Your attention, please. An episode. Hey, your attention, please.
We're starting a new series on the channel where we're actually doing a debunk series against other YouTube channels that kind of say certain things that are they haven't been well researched or anything like that. It's kind of face value type stuff. So we're just gonna go through them. We're gonna dive into them, and we're gonna just say, hey, well, actually, these things kind of work. So we're gonna just jump right into it. The first one we're going to look at is Screen Rant. Now, Screen Rant is a very well-known YouTube channel. They have tons and tons of videos, tons and tons of content. One of my favorite YouTube channels. However, there are some times that their channel puts out a video that is completely wrong, completely off the marker. So that's exactly what Well Actually is we're going to actually touch into that and tap into that to let them know, hey, even though this video was pretty good, this video wasn't your greatest work. So we're going to get right into it.
Let's be honest, nobody's perfect, and neither is the massive team behind all the Marvel films. Though they mostly do a bang-up job in all their movies, there are some mistakes they definitely thought we wouldn't notice. Little did they know, we have Hawkeyes, and we caught them all. Want to find out all the mistakes that Marvel tried to hide? Watch this video as we reveal new mistakes we caught in the MCU.
Hi, question.
Black Panther, not so silent. At the start of the film, T'Challa gets his silent shoes from his brilliant sister Shuri. The shoes are supposed to be silent when he runs.
Interesting.
However, halfway through the film, you can hear Black Panther's footsteps as he runs up the spiral ramp. A big oops from the audio department right there.
Pause. The sneakers that Shuri made, the sneakers are actually soft, absorbent, sound absorbent. The sneaker does its job. However, the ramp is not absorbent of sound. The ramp is a ramp. So as he was running up the ramp, Black Panther was running up the ramp was reacting to vibranium and let's call him a 200-pound man running up the ramp. That doesn't mean that the sneakers was giving off the sound. The ramp was giving off the sound of a man running on it.
Hi, question.
Following this, we caught a couple continuity errors. When Claw is being rescued by Eric, he has a wound on his face. However, between shots, the amount of blood on his wound changes. It's subtle, but watch closely and you can catch.
That open wound that is on the head of Ulysses Claw is still an open wound. While everything was happening, the explosion, remember, he was directly in the blast radius of that explosion. He had to tilt his head out the way in order to say he doesn't get hit with debris, but it's very clear that some debris probably hit his head, hit that open wound, and reopen that wound and reopen it. Remember, it's an open wound, so it takes nothing for something to tap into it and for more blood to sprout out, especially with the adrenaline and everything like that pulsating through his head. Of course he's gonna have some blood come out that. Come on now.
Another mistake is near the end of the film, when Killmonger is about to kill Shuri. They're at the top of the mine shaft, and Shuri is backing up. Her elbow goes over the edge, but when the camera angle changes to a shot over Killmonger's shoulder, Shuri is at least a foot away from walking off the edge. Marvel, we may have caught those little mistakes, but we still can't wait for the next Black Panther film.
Fair point.
Dr. Strange, the Dirty Surgeon. The beginning of the 2016 Benedict Cumberbatch film, Dr. Strange, shows his process as a surgeon, and it's all wrong. When he's preparing for a surgery, Strange uses improper gowning techniques, which would actually break aseptic protocol. Aseptic protocol is extremely important, as it prevents the spread of pathogens that cause infection. Strange puts on his mask after he washes his hands, which contaminates his hands as they go close to the non-sterile region of his face. Surgical masks are always put on prior to washing hands. Another factual error in this procedure is that Dr. Strange put his hands all the way through the gown to then put on his gloves. However, gloves must be put on with the sleeves of the gown still covering them. The surgeon's hands must never leave the gown until the gloves are on. Not everyone would notice these extremely detailed mistakes Marvel did not catch, but any doctor out there sure did.
Halt. Does every surgeon follow the same procedure? Maybe different surgeons try different procedures, and maybe for him, because he's been such a successful surgeon, he just goes by his own rules. I mean, he has been pegged and he has been labeled as a surgeon that is high on his own horse. So yeah, maybe he was like, yo, I don't need to follow the regular procedures. I can do whatever I want. I don't think that's a mistake. That's just his character. That's why we have character development.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What footwear? In Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the opening is a sequence from the past with Kurt Russell and Star-Lord's mother. The film titles the flashback 1980s Missouri, with a nuclear power plant in the background with 4 towers. There is only one nuclear power plant in Missouri, the Callaway Nuclear Generating System, which only has 1 tower. So already there's an issue, but the most apparent fact is that the plant didn't open until 1984.
Stop it. When was the last time, Screen Rant, that you went to New York City and you went to the Avengers Tower in New York City, in present day New York City? Yeah, you didn't, because it doesn't exist. Remember, this is a Marvel universe of our realistic universe. So a lot of the stuff that happened in real life, in history, is played off in Marvel, but with a little twist. Now, I like the fact that you guys took the time to check out Missouri and all of its historical facts of its power plant and everything like that. But again, this is Marvel's version of Missouri. So of course maybe they wanted to put 2 of those little silos there because they want to pay homage to the Simpsons or something like that. Who knows? I mean, they don't have to be completely accurate. It's not a mistake. It's a Marvel universe. So again, I ask, when was the last time you saw the Avengers Tower in New York?
During the same opening sequence, Ego and Star-Lord's mother walk through the forest behind the Dairy Queen. She's wearing boots with fur around the top as they go down the hill, but when they're standing next to the God plant, she's suddenly wearing sandals. Seeing as it was a sunny day, sandals were probably more appropriate.
Oh, that was a good catch.
Ragnarok appearing objects. First off, when Thor is fighting Hela and Heimdall's soldiers in the forest, he swings his sword and the tree is cut before it even hits it. Not to mention that the soldiers on his right fall before the hit as well. Maybe they were just anticipating the pain they were about to feel, but we're calling out a hardcore mistake.
Sorry about that.
Come on. If someone is swinging a sword, a giant sword, the first thing you're gonna do if you're coming towards that person is duck. Those soldiers were ducking. You even showed it in the clip. They're ducking. And as they're ducking, the velocity of the sword is coming straight across and chopping off their head. So again, this is not a mistake. This is clearly what the soldiers were doing to duck. And then again, they're zombies, so, you know, they're not thinking.
In another instance, when Thor and Hulk are fighting, Valkyrie sits watching while drinking. In the next shot, an object appears in her hand out of nowhere. Potentially powers? We think not. Just a mere editing mistake.
Hold up. This scene right here, we see the first clip of the scene, we see Valkyrie walking with her drink and something in her hand. She puts the object in her hand on her side or underneath her. We really can't tell by the angle, but she has something in her hand. And then when you cut to the next scene, she's holding that same something. So there's a good chance that maybe as she sat down, she reached there, held it, and as she's bringing it up, because you see the trajectory of her hand, she's lifting it up as she's drinking. So that means that the object that she came sitting down with was being pulled up at the same time. So yeah, I like where you guys try to go with that, but nah, there was a mistake. They clearly showed it. So come on.
Hey, could you hold this for a second? Thanks. Hey, is this anybody's bike?
Spider-Man Homecoming, beer of the future. After Vulture, aka Adrian Toomes, and his crew lose the contract for the cleanup, they are back in their shop with beer. And not just any beer, the stubby Coors Banquet beer. So what's the problem with this? Well, Coors didn't release this version of the bottle until 2013.
Wait a minute. Again, this is a Marvel version of the Earth that we currently occupy. Marvel version. That means whatever version they took of an area is totally different to the version that we know in the world that we live in. Not a mistake. Marvel version.
Thor took the wrong train. In Thor: The Dark World, the entire film builds up to a major fight scene between Thor and his enemy Malekith the Accursed. During the sequence, Thor falls through a portal that brings him to London, England's Charing Cross station. On the train, a lady informs Thor that he needs to ride 3 stops to reach Greenwich. If you don't know London's intricate train system, that seems perfectly accurate. But the Charing Cross station is the terminus for the Southeastern Main Line, and the Greenwich stop is in the Jubilee Line. Basically, Thor wasn't even on the right train to get to where he was going. Marvel was caught red-handed with this mistake, and we're certain anyone from London watching the film caught this one straight away.
Stop. Come on. The same woman threw herself at Thor. As soon as she saw Thor, she looked at him. Handsome, tall, blonde dude. He gets inside. She throws herself at him. Of course she would say, yeah, this is the way to Greenwich. Of course she was lying to him. It has nothing to do, because how would Thor know where to go if he's asking someone who lives in London where to go? And it's a woman who responded to him, and that same woman threw herself at him. Obviously, she wanted to be with him until she got off of her train stop, and then probably said, hey, by the way, this is the wrong way. You probably had to get on that train and go all the way back. Now, when Thor comes in, we don't know how much time has passed between Thor going through the trains and everything like that. Even though, yeah, maybe it could have been 15, 30 minutes or stuff like that, and Malekith could have been doing his thing, who knows? But at the end of the day, we don't know how much time went by, so that's not a mistake. That's just a horny chick trying to get her feels on.
Just like Budapest all over again.
You and I remember Budapest very differently.
The Avengers: The Killing Hair. Black Widow has been built up as potentially the next strongest Avenger. We're certain her roles in the films are going to continue to expand. In the Avengers, she is so powerful, in fact, her hair even killed somebody. Wait, that can't be right. Or can it? In the first scene where Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow is introduced to us, she fights off 4 bad guys all while being tied to a chair. Black Widow whips back her head in an attempt to headbutt the gangster. Instead, her hair simply brushes his face, which knocks him out cold. So either her hair is as deadly as she is, or more accurately, we're guessing the stuntman may have been a step too far back for the move to look right. Maybe her hair is a weapon we just haven't learned about yet. But we doubt it. This seems to be a classic Marvel mistake that we just happened to catch.
Got it. This scene is very, very important. And if you watch all the aspects of the scene, you will see why it's not a mistake. Now, when Black Widow throws her hair back, now she meant to headbutt him, yes, but because he was so far away, her hair raked his eyes. He wasn't wearing any protective glasses or anything like that, so of course her hair raked his eye. And then that was when she clipped him and tripped him up. So he wasn't knocked out because of her hair. He simply temporarily blinded, tripped, and that was the end of his whole entire fighting MMA type. I don't know, but yeah, you're wrong.
Hi, I'm Scott.
The Science of Ant-Man. Throughout the 2015 film Ant-Man, starring Paul Rudd, it's explained more than once how the shrinking from man to Ant-Man scientifically works, or as sciencey as possible, that is. Pym particles function by reducing the space between atoms to shrink something, or increase the space between atoms to enlarge them. This ultimately means that the objects or person will weigh the exact same no matter whether they are larger or smaller. Now, this fact creates many mistakes in Ant-Man. First off, a 200-pound man the size of an ant would break through any surface he stood on because his weight is so concentrated in one tiny spot. Not to mention he would squish any poor ant that he tried to ride on. Oh, and the tank that he has in his pocket? Yeah, that wouldn't happen. We don't know any human who can carry the weight of a 60-ton tank. As for Yellow Jacket, he lifts a full-grown sheep between his thumb and index finger. We don't think you're that strong. Also, the massive Thomas the Tank Engine would be way too light to crush a police car with all the weight distributed over such a large area. In fact, the tank engine would likely float away as it would weigh less than the air it displaced. Whoa, did you follow all that scientific jargon?
Stop. Yeah, that Ant-Man, yeah, there's no arguments here. The Ant-Man science makes no sense. So everything you guys said, this was probably the only thing on the list that I have no objection with the exception of a couple of things. But yeah, this right here, main flaw, big flaw in the science of the Ant-Man. And I hope at some point they try to justify it and try to explain it. But as of right now, yes, that's a big flaw. So yes, you got one.
Either forced to join their militia.
The mystery of sound. Going to see a superhero movie requires a large amount of suspension of disbelief, but there are some things that just feel wrong. Throughout the Marvel films, one of the big culprits of this feeling is the speed of sound. Most of us know that sound travels much slower than light. For example, during a storm we can tell how close it is by counting the seconds between seeing lightning and then the sound of the thunder. The further away the lightning, the longer the sound takes for us to hear it. However, this scientific truth seems to have no place in the MCU, or any other sci-fi film for that matter. We haven't even got to the fact that sound can't travel in space. In the opening of Iron Man, Tony Stark shows off some of his new technology, the Jericho missiles. We hear the explosion before we even see it. This is neither possible or accurate. In all the Thor movies, Thor causes a sonic boom with his powerful hammer, and the sound always happens exactly as the hammer hits, no matter how far away he is. Guardians of the Galaxy is the same, hearing all the lasers and explosions as they're happening. So, sure, we're willing to extend our disbelief, but come on, we all know how sound works, right?
I just have one question. Who are you? Who is she? What the hell's going on? And can I go back to jail now?
There's no such thing as a Jericho missile, right? So because there's no such thing as a Jericho missile, we don't know how a Jericho missile will actually be in the real world. Now, the argument that you're bringing up, guys, is basically the fact that sound doesn't travel like that. Well, Mjolnir doesn't exist in real life, so we don't know what kind of sound Mjolnir will make against anything of Earth. It's a metal made in space, so we have no idea what kind of sound it's going to make. We don't have no idea what kind of jolt it's going to make because it's never been done before. So that's why we really can't put a sound to it, because we don't know. So they're designing and creating it based off the comic books and how the comic books portrayed it. Okay, and Guardians, well, Guardians are in space. We only know space based on the amount of travel that we've done as a human race, and the amount of travel that we've done as a human race is only to the moon. Now, if this is in a totally different part of the galaxy, we don't know what kind of expansion of space is in the total part of a galaxy. We don't even know what kind of metals, we don't know what kind of planets, we don't know what kind of atmosphere is in space, far deep into space. So we really can't say that it's wrong, because we have no idea. We have nothing to base it off of, only the amount of travel that we've done, which is only a couple of millions of miles away from Earth, or actually a couple thousand miles away from Earth. Drones have gone millions in, but nobody's on the drone. So this right here, unfortunately, I like where you guys were going with it, but this was a real big reach, and you guys reached and caught nothing, because this is not a mistake. This is based on the rules of the comics, based on the rules of science fiction, not science fact, science fiction. So yeah, that's how that works.
Man, you cannot marry a woman without gills. You're from two different worlds. Oh, I've wasted my life.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, the video is awesome. I love the video, but at the same time, let's be real. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. A lot of these things that you said were mistakes were actually not mistakes. The movie clearly explained it. The scenes explained it, and a lot of it is science fiction. So none of it's science fact. So you have to stretch your imagination just a little bit. And Marvel does a great job in stretching the imagination, but still kind of making it make sense. So again, we're gonna try to do a lot of these type of videos, unless YouTube shuts us down for copyright and all that stuff. I'm giving full credit to the guys over at Screen Rant. You guys do an awesome job. I love your channel. I'm subscribed to it. Love your channel, but there are some times that you guys put out videos and I'm just like, yeah, I don't agree with this video. So trust me, we're gonna keep doing these types of video of the well, actually. So once again, this is your boy Sam's. This is That Comic Show. Like, share, and subscribe. Click the notification button so you can know when we drop new stuff. Sam's out.